Hey guys, Tom Barton here from TomBartonSports.com. We're going to talk a little Pac-12 college basketball preview today. I know you guys loved it last year. I love the interaction. Please make sure that if you like this, comment below. I'll comment back with you guys. I love the interaction. Go check me out at TomBartonSports.com. Tom Barton Sports over on Twitter. TomBartonSports@gmail.com. Well, let's talk about the Pac-12. Everybody talks about, the Big Ten hasn't had a championship since 2000. Well, actually, there hasn't been a national championship in the Pac-12 3 years longer than that. Nobody's seemingly talking about it. Last year, Pac-12 was all going to be about UCLA and more UCLA. And I came out here and I told you I just didn't love UCLA last year. Well, all of that sort of happened. It wasn't a good year overall for the Pac-12. It was another season where you go, it was kind of a one team that surprised everybody, except it wasn't UCLA. It was Arizona that wound up being that team. Tommy Lloyd went from unranked to be the number one overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Absolutely fantastic job by him. And you start to turn around and you go, okay, there are some turnovers here in some turnovers here in the college basketball ranks overall in the country, and Pac-12, they're going to be going through quite a bit. And you start turning around, you start to look at the Pac-12, and what are they? They're sort of that middling team, but can one of these teams sort of step up and become the team in the conference? That's what we have to ask ourselves. So we'll start here. We'll talk about Oregon State first. Look, 3 games they won last year. It wasn't really good. Off season, they didn't get any better news. Oregon State are just not really a good situation. Look, they have one player returning from the Elite Eight team. That's Christian Wright. There's Christian Wright, the guard Christian Wright got injured, so that adds to it that he's not good. This is a bad roster that was a short bench roster that really nobody was proven on their team, and now they're getting hit with injuries. I look at this and I go, I don't know if it could get worse than last year for Oregon State, but it might get worse than last year for Oregon State. I mean, I can't see any real upside for Oregon State this year. It's one of those teams that you kind of look at and you go, okay, well, if I'm a betting man, maybe I'll just be betting against them. But in the Pac-12, they're not going to really be a force. Neither is Cal, right? They have nobody left. They lost a lot of guys, and nobody left that is averaging even 8 points per game. That's a problem. They went to the transfer portal. Nobody really was able to come over from Cal, and the transfer portal has been being hit very, very hard nowadays, and Cal has really had to throw their hat in that ring and kind of make up for what they lost, and they just didn't do it. They do have some returning players, but their returning players had less than 30 starts last year combined, so there's a brand new team, brand new roster. You're looking to replace a lot. They should be at the bottom of the barrel as well. Same thing with Utah. Look, Craig Smith's first year wasn't very good. We know that, right? And a lot of the hitting the transfer portal, you expect to hit a transfer portal and that guy to perform like he did on his old team. Well, that didn't happen here for the Utes. And you look at who they're bringing back again, you're now relying upon these kind of players to go back and play again here at a level that wasn't last year, but it was 2 years ago. They do have a big guy, Lazer, 6'7" wing. He can be the guy. But again, you're asking a lot out of him. Brandon Carlson is a solid player, 13 points per game, 6 rebounds per game. Best player, sure. He might be an all-conference type of guy, sure. But you're dealing with maybes and possiblies, and 13 points per game. Is he really the best player on this team to lead them anything past maybe not? Maybe keeping it out of the basement, out of the bottom 2 or 3 kind of seed. That's what Utah's looking at. UW is not much different. UW had a weird season. They were terrible in non-conference play. And then they actually played well against the Pac-12, right about 500. And you look at UW and you say, yeah, that non-conference schedule really, really, really hurt you guys, but I think it exposed them as well. Terrell Brown is gone. Him and his 22 points per game. Nobody even knew who Terrell Brown was. He led Washington, and he was a good player. He's gone. That means there's one double-digit scorer coming back, and that is it. Now, Kenyon Brooks is 6'7" forward. He had 10.5 points per game, 5.5 rebounds per game. He's coming from, for the past 2 years, at Kentucky. Hey, that's a good program. This is a good situation. He's a big guy. That is a little upside for Washington. I don't think that you can really look at them as a real competitor. They also has Fresno State center, 7'1" Braxton May coming over. That is another big. So maybe they could win the rebounding advantage. Maybe you could get a couple of nights where they do have some surprises in UW territory. But the reality is that this is another team I don't expect to really challenge for a Pac-12, even in a down conference year. Same thing with Wazoo. Wazoo will be middle of the pack type of team. They've underachieved last year. I expect them to be about the same this year. Look, their guards can't shoot. They have a big problem there with shooting. You look at Bamba coming back, 38% from the field. That's not good. Now, he can shoot from the outside. You say, okay, he can shoot the threes, but if you're hitting under 40% from the field and you're handling the ball and you're the main guy, that's a problem. Mullins comes in from St. Mary's. Maybe he can be the shooter that they need, but unless they find one of these guys with more consistency and we're hitting more than 38%, they're going to be a middle-of-the-pack team. A lot can be said the same thing about Colorado. Middle-of-the-pack team, we know what they're going to be. You look at this team, and they lost some guys from transfers, and they didn't expect to lose them. They lost them not only for transfers, but they lost them in conference to transfers. That's terrible. They are bringing back some good pieces. They had a good season last year, right? Won more than 20 games. That's pretty good. And you do have a freshman, KJ Simpson, who looked like he could be the guy. They also, I've mentioned this on other podcasts and other platforms, I'm a big Ivy League guy, right? I believe in the Ivy League podcast that I'd love you guys to check out. They get a Yale transfer coming over, and the Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year. He might be the player to put them over the top. Look, all these teams are kind of in the middle, but if there's one team to break out from that middle, Colorado might be it, because I do believe that transfers from different schools have success. If you get an Ivy League transfer from the school, they're playing a different kind of basketball than the rest of the country a lot of times. Not in Colorado. This is the kind of good fit, good player that they can excel out of the middle of the pack, meaning, I don't think they're going to win the championship, but can they finish 3-4? Yeah, I think that they could get there. Arizona State lost a ton of guys. Look, they're going to always have good coaching. Hurley's going to be that good coach. They also have a top 50 prospect. We know that he's got a lot of potential. 7-foot center Warren Washington. He was from Nevada. He's got a lot of potential. There's a lot of potential on this team. Collins, we don't know how good he's going to be. Bagley's health is always a question. There's a lot of potential on this team, but the potential is there with a really good coach. Arizona State, if everything clicks the right way, they are your Cinderella team this year. Arizona State, if everything goes right for them, they're the Cinderella team. But I'm asking a lot to go right for them. I'm asking a lot of things to fall into place. Stanford, Spencer Jones comes back with his 12 points a game, and he's got James Keith coming back, 6th man of the year. Brandon Angle, yeah, that 6th man. He was right in that conversation. Pac-12 Rookie of the Year, yeah, I mean, look, he's got his moments. I think that there's going to be more consistency, and that's the name of the game for Stanford this year, consistency. Flying under the radar. They're not going to get a lot of great, huge prospects and great new freshmen because of, obviously, their academic standards. They're not going to hit the portal really hard because of their academic standards. So what they need is consistency. They need the guys that are going to be there, the guys like Jones, to consistently show up every night. I think that is the key to the game for Stanford. USC, well, the entire front court is gone, and here we go. It's going to be a different kind of USC team. It's going to be the bigs now, all of a sudden being the guy. Drew Peterson, 6'8", he's going to be the guy in the middle that everybody kind of assumes he's going to kind of take that next step up for USC. I think that USC takes a big step down. I can't imagine you losing the kind of talent that they lost and just seamlessly transitioning here. It is a different philosophy. It's not just the talent. It's not just the players that you lost, but it's also the mindset and what they've been playing with, where it is completely now front court to back court to front court. It's a change up. Oregon was a team everybody thought was going to be here, right? And Dale Altman has consistently done a great job there. I can't say that he hasn't. He's got Will Richardson coming back, 14 points per game, 4 assists per game. That's great. We get it, okay? But the front court underperformed last year. The front court is back again this year. Will they take that step up? I didn't love Oregon before the year. I thought that they had the potential to be the best team here, only because I really like the coach. And I think once they get into March Madness, but overall, in the course of the season, I see the same thing. UCLA is the team everybody loved last year. Everybody loved UCLA, and I just didn't see it. I didn't see that magical run was going to turn into a long longevity during the regular season. And I'm kind of in the same boat this year again. They lost some talent. We get it. They lost the talent that you really, really, really will impact this team. But Campbell's coming back. And what I like about Campbell is that he's not just an offensive player, he's a defensive player. But it is tough to replace the scoring that left, and it is tough to replace what is gone out of this team. It's also tough to replace the mindset. When you have a leader for so long, or a group of leaders for so long, and they leave, now you're asking these guys to automatically just adjust right away. Well, they might adjust. It's very possible they will adjust, but is it going to be right away? And is it going to be in time to make any kind of real push towards Arizona, who should be the class of the conference once again. Look, they did lose two of the best players in the country, right? I mean, you can't say anything about that. They lost the leading scorer. They lost the Pac-12 Player of the Year. They lost the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. That is going to be a problem. Tommy Lloyd, though, he's proven that it doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, did anybody expect them to be where they were? They can come out and they can outscore you every single night. They could run and gun. They could go out there and absolutely dominate every single night on the floor. In another conference, I would worry about them losing these type of players. In another conference, I would say, you know what? I don't think that Arizona is going to be the team. But who's really stepping up to compete this year? Look, I like Colorado, but they're not stepping up to Arizona. I like Dana Altman. I like what Oregon's doing. Not quite enough to step up against Arizona, and UCLA seems to be the only team, but I think that they lost too much, and I see it as a step back. So by default, I think that Arizona is the best team in this conference, but when you're really looking at the big picture, are they a Final Four team? No. Are they an Elite 8 team? No, I don't think so. Are they a Sweet 16? I don't know if the Pac-12 even gets a Sweet 16 in there this year. It's one of those seasons where I think you have to take a step back as an entire conference and not just hope that one team has a great magical run in March Madness, which they've been hoping for the last few years. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Tell me what you think about the Pac-12. Comment below, like the program, subscribe to the channel. Please make sure you check out TomBartonSports.com. Tom Barton Sports over on Twitter. Have a very good season, everybody.